Our panel is no stranger to the community. You would have seen all of them. You probably know a lot about them too. But I'm going to quickly introduce you.
Can you see me?
At the other end is Narayan Subramanian. He is a music teacher in Richmond community. He is the director of Sunada Vidyalaya, and he has been teaching many students in this community for a long time. It's a privilege to have all of them. Next to Narayan is my very good friend Shyamala Narasimhan. Shyamala is an excellent musician and a teacher. She is a disciple of Vinay Jayanti, and she has been teaching not only students in the community but many teachers too. She was instrumental in beginning teaching the Panchalingam to the teachers and starting the Panchalingam rendering in the community. And so Shyamala Narasimhan, welcome. Next we have Shri Vignesh Subramanian. Vignesh is a big part of Richmond, even though he doesn't live in the community here. We are hoping he will move here one day soon. He is an excellent musician, vocalist. You would have seen him sing for many arangetrams in the Richmond community. He is a sought-after vocalist for Bharatanatyam arangetrams, and he gives concerts, and he is a part of our ICAPS community. So as you can see on the stage, 3 of the 4 panel members are ICAPS community members. And yes, the moderator too. So Vignesh, welcome. And Vignesh is a teacher in Northern Virginia. So his students are all over there. They had come, some of them had come to perform in the Richmond Thillana in January. And then we have Vijay Ganesh. Vijay Ganesh needs no introduction. This community is really lucky to have him. He is a renowned mridangist and a teacher, percussion teacher. He is the director of KMR School of Mridangam. And we are hoping to see many of his students learn and grow and come on the ICAP stage and perform in the future. So welcome, Vijay. And I will be the moderator today, and I'm Meena Shankran. Those of you who are on the other side of the green screen, if you have a few minutes, we would like to invite you to come and take a seat here. Thank you. The topic for today's panel discussion is the many fascinating facets of Varnams. So we are going to try and touch upon the many different aspects and just have a casual conversation. And at the end of it, if we have time, we'll have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions you want to ask this brilliant group of teachers, this is your chance. So with that, we will start. Before we actually start, I want to tell you something. This morning I woke up and you know what I thought of? I don't know how many of you are familiar with the story of Dharani. Dharani, it is said that the king of Pandya announced a poetry competition. And Dharani was one of the poor poets in the kingdom. And the king announced a big reward for whoever wins the poetry competition. And Dharani really wanted to win the gold coins, you know. not so much talent in poetry writing. He kept trying though. But he was a big devotee of Lord Shiva. So Shiva decided to help him, and he came down in human form, and he wrote one, gave it to Dharmi and said, why don't you take this to the king and you can get the prize. Dharmi was smart. Dharmi said, what if the king finds out and puts me in prison? And how do I know you're good? So let me ask you some questions. So king was like, why don't I ask you questions? And Dharmi said, no. I only know how to ask questions. So today I'm sitting here with a big grin on my face because I get to ask these people questions. So
Once we say all our points here, we are going to quiz you back.
no. Today I will redirect all the questions. You will. We will start the discussion with talking about how Varnams are relevant in a student's journey. Why is it important to learn Varnams? And how is it going to help a student in his or her journey? So I would like to start the conversation and with that topic. Whoever wants to go first.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Meena and ICAPS, for including me in this very esteemed panel.
Our pleasure.
It's my honor to be able to share whatever little I know. So, in my journey as a student, my teacher always emphasized the importance of Varnams in practice. So, every single morning, she mandated that I have to sing 2 Varnams in Adda Talam and 2 Varnams in Adi Talam in 2 speeds. That was a mandate every day. After your voice practice, your voice is conditioned, so you want to push it to the max, and Varnams were the way to go. You had to use a metronome to keep the rhythm, and I did this for almost 5 or 6 years every single day. And I attribute whatever fluency my voice has for that practice that I did that time. So Varnams are they are easy enough. It's a very unique composition. They are easy enough for a student to just learn it at a fairly beginner kind of a stage when they are ready to take the next step. But then they are also so flexible that they can scale up to a concert level. So a student has to understand the importance of learning the Varnams and practicing it every single day. I would emphasize on that. That keeps your voice fluent and gives you a grasp on the rhythm. So that is my take on this.
Believe me, Shamla auntie knows what she is talking about. If you have heard her sing, you know how beautiful her voice is, the flexibility her voice has. And after hearing her, I'm sure you're thinking, okay, Meena auntie probably was right in asking me to practice it in 2 speeds regularly. Yes, you have to. Thank you, Shamla.
Namaskaram. I would like to emphasize a lot of things that Shamlaji mentioned. For any learner, the Varnam is kind of a bridge, I would say, from learning all the Geetams, Sarali Chanta, Geetams. It's kind of an application of a lot of things. Sarali Varsa is, of course, you have like the single swarams, you have patterns. That you have the patterns where you jump. There are huge jumps. Janta Varsa, you have like the double notes. I think one of the most important feature for Carnatic music is how you handle the Janta swarams, like how you hit the second swaram. The better it gets, the better the music also sounds, I feel, along with all the other gamakams. So application of all those things, I think, comes when we start learning the Varnams. We of course have the smaller Geetams and all that, but Varnam is exactly the point where you've trained all these first 1 or 2 years with just the swarams, and you get to apply it. I think it's a kind of a midpoint between, or a transition point before going into the kirtanams or any of the bigger compositions, right from singing compositions in Rettakada Adi, because Varnams mostly we sing in putting two beats, so that is one additional thing. Right from that, right from rhythm exercises, she mentioned about two columns. You can also practice in Tishram and other things, like a bit more advanced level is adding Tishram to it. So all these things, like Shyamlaji mentioned, it's a versatile composition. It's a transition kind of a composition for a learner. It can be, of course, presented in a big level in a concert, in a dance performance. But from a learner perspective, it's a very transitionary piece that can be molded however you want. Because the number of words are less, the number of words are repetitive, it's very easy to remember the words. It's a place where you can also practice how to remember swarams, how to sing swarams. So it's a lot of things that kind of lead you onto a advanced path in Carnatic music.
Nari, would you like to talk about the differences in the Padandram, in Varnams? For example, there are some students I know that have learned from more than one guru, right? So you would have seen differences in how a Varnam, subtle differences, not big differences. So how do we handle when we see Varnam presentations that have slightly different Padandram styles? How do we handle that?
Basically, in my opinion, you stick to what your gurus have taught you and then pass along that lineage. So I'd like to take an example for here. Most of you have gone through Mohana Varnam, okay? So I'll take the line of a Charanam, okay? Sannotanga Shri. A lot of schools teach like that. Some people teach Sannotanga Shri Ga 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 Ri Ga Pa Ga Pa. Some schools teach that. Some to Ga 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 Pa Ga Ri Ga Pa Ga Pa. So there are subtle differences like that. One. The other, that is the swaram itself is subtly changed to their school of thought. What is more apt, what their interpretation of that raga is, and etc. like that. Then there are certain other customizations or nuances where the Sahityam syllables are split slightly differently. Okay, so off the top of my head, I can think of some examples, but there are plenty of them. Okay, it's everywhere. So for example, anyway, so there are subtle differences like that, but for the most part, most schools keep 95% of the structure as envisioned by the composer. Okay, now there is a school of thought where there is a Sahana Varnam which is notoriously being changed by a lot of schools because there's a lot of the schools feel that their representation of the Ragam Sahana is better suited this way. So it's open to customization, but not in a majority of them. 95% of it is kept intact. Only 5% here and there. Some swaras might be changed. Some karvais might change for a certain syllable. For example, a certain syllable is taken. They sing it for, instead of 5 karvais, they would sing the 4 karvais and then take the syllable onto the next one. Splitting differently. That's what I would put it as. So the responsibility of the student is to not go to YouTube and find something else, somebody else singing in some other way and incorporating that, because they don't fit in your school of teaching. So you have to stick to what your teachers have taught, and we do too. Like we pass along what our teachers have taught. Somebody might ask you, hey, you're taking that differently. Yeah, that's what my guru taught me. That's the simplest answer that you get.
Thank you, Nari. We have a Mridangist on the panel with us, so it will be remiss of me if I don't ask him to talk a little bit about the rhythmic patterns that can be found in Varnams. I feel like Varnams are a great place for students to learn how to develop their Kalpana Swaram ideas later. They are the blueprint that can give you, because take all the Varnams and the Chitta Iswarams. Look at all the, see if you can recognize the patterns in them. That's what I tell my students. The patterns in them will help you build your own Kalpanaswarams. And who better to talk about the rhythmic patterns than the Mridangist? Hi Vijay, you want to throw some light on that for us?
Yes, namaskaram. For rhythmic portion, it's completely an opposite. If any student is learning how to accompany for a song, we don't generally start with Varnam. Because Varnam is very complex, and first of all, the student has to listen to the Varnam 1,000 times so that the intricacies, the chord-wise, the calculation of the swaram pattern is all being memorized by the student. Because if any student nowadays, most of the kids are like multi-talent, they also go to music, they also play Mridangam, but certain kids, they don't go to music but just only learn the Mridangam. For that kid, it's very difficult and challenge to start with teaching how to play for Varnam. So in that case, we generally start with playing for a general composition, where we ask the singer to sing a couple of Kalpanaswarams, and for them to understand what is Kalpanaswaram, how those patterns are being developed in the Kalpanaswarams, and slowly once they get up, know how to play for that, then they come and I teach for the Varnams, and generally the Mohana Varnam is a starting point for anything. I don't know why it is only Mohana Varnam. I should ask the cross question to all the teachers. I don't understand, but again the Mohana Varnam is a basic Varnam for everything to be taught for, even for accompaniment or for singing. Yes.
It's probably because it's really simple to start with. I mean, you can embellish it with kamakams and all later, but it's fairly easy to simple notes and just make it.
So it's not for the ragam, it's just for the notes of the Varnam.
It's fair. You don't have to do so. Shankara Varnam, for example, if you sing it just plain notes, it'll be okay. But then if you embellish it, it's extremely beautiful. Like or like curves like that. But then in Mohana Varnam, you can make it be beautiful just by.
So if the kid doesn't know the Mohana Ragam, still can attempt
simply
to
sing plain notes and make it beautiful still. So
Okay.
that's probably just.
Mostly they will know a Varavina before they learn
right.
Mohana Varnam. I mean,
One other thing that I would like to add,
No, I'm done, please.
so one other thing that I would like to add on what he was presenting, I would like to take up Mohana Varnam again. So everybody would be singing that last word. Sari sari gari gari da sari sari sa pa da sa da da pa re sa da pa gari sari. So let's say that is the pattern, but that is easier to sing it that way. But sari gari da sari sari sa pa da, singing it in threes makes it a hugely different. It gives a completely different dynamic of that varnam. Sari gari gari da sari sari sa pa da sa ga pa da pa re sa da pa gari sari. But everybody easy to sari gari gari da sari sari sa pa da sa da. So that is the thing that he is emphasizing, where the rhythmic aspect of it is actually enhanced and embellished by splitting it correctly and singing it the right way.
I want to add something that Vignesh ji mentioned, the Janta Swarams. Mohana Varnam is this classic example. So there the second notes are to be accented. So those concepts are easily introduced for a vocalist by introducing with Mohana Varnam. So.
And I also agree that it's for any kid who doesn't know the singing, maybe easy to memorize that Varnam more easily. It gets into the brain, so probably that should be
because Varnam, if you look at the Varnams, the same words repeat. Most of it, Vanajakshi, Kamalakshi, Ninne, Kori, same. I mean, it's. I mean, I'm not sure if that was the intention when they created it, but at this point, in time, I think it's a very helpful thing that the words are repetitive. It's easy to memorize. The kids need to just focus on the swarams, which are much more longer.
I want to just showcase. I want to actually. There is a technique that for vocalists, especially those long syllables and long, very long words. Make it easy for the vocal students to understand how to sing a word in an elaborated manner. Sometimes I hear them enunciating like the gamakams with their jaw, like for example, ni yi 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 la 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 lo lo. That is extremely, in my opinion, not pleasant to hear. I want to, try to ni ki la lo ka na. You want to make the words clear, and this is a way for them to tell that even though there are very little words, and you have to use your jaw lesser when you're singing in a vocalist. So try to make it pleasant, and Varnam is a beautiful way to show that also.
It does take a lot of years to get that. When you start learning, it is like how Shamlaji sang in the beginning. Even if you mention it to the kids, it's hard for them to understand because until then you're singing swarams or the focus is on like singing the swarams correctly on Shruti, Talam, that is the focus. Only when we arrive at that Swarajati kind of points, Varnam point, you start actually thinking about how to use your mouth, how to use your jaw, how to sing, make your jaw loose from where the sound comes. All those things start, I think, coming into picture only at that point.
And it especially helps when you're doing second speed. I think that's the main. You will quickly find out that when you're using your jaw a lot, the second speed just goes south basically. It's very unpleasant. Then the student starts to learn how to make it more pleasant. So the second speed is to be sung in a beautiful manner like that. So.
Yeah, while we are talking about that, that's the reason sometimes I see children who do really well up until Swarajati, and when they come into Varnams, they struggle because they did not take the time to prepare themselves for the Varnams. You have to prepare. You have to do a karam practices so that when you glide into Varnams, you are ready to try second speed. Even if it's a slow pace, your voice has to move. The flexibility has to come, and that does not come overnight. So when teachers tell you, practice your akarams, take it seriously. Otherwise, when you hit Varnams, you're going to struggle.
Yeah,
That's what they're talking about.
I always tell my students that the bigger muscles are slower to move and smaller muscles are faster to move. For example, if you want to shake your hand like this, you can only go so fast. Whereas if you do like this, can you achieve this speed in your shoulders? You can. So the inside of your voice is the most fastest you can move. So if you move your jaw, you are involving big muscles. So it is going to slow you down. So rather shift the movement to your voice inside, which is lock the jaw and sing like that. It will slow you down. Okay. So I always tell them shift it to the smaller muscles which are inside, which move much faster than the bigger muscles. That's one example that I give them.
A lot of times, children don't realize where that akaram is coming for them. So they do it with their jaw without realizing that that's what they are doing. So sometimes it's helpful. I tell them, hold your jaw intact and then try doing it. And then they realize they are not able to do it.
Yeah,
You can't move your jaw, you cannot do that. So then they realize where they have to work, how to do the akarams. So it's a process and all children will get there. It's helpful to start the akaram practices earlier, so when you get to the Varnam stage, you're actually ready to proceed.
To that point, every teacher emphasizes on the akaram practice, but most students skip that step because it is boring and tenuous to do. Okay.
But after today's discussion, they're all going to go home.
Yes, that's what I was looking. The other thing that I use one technique that I want to share. What I do is I have people like hold a poker chip in their teeth, between their teeth, not let it fall. That is both ways. So you want to be careful with that. So I let them hold a little small coin or like a dime or something like that, and lean forward, and then hold the coin don't let it fall either side. Now sing. You cannot use your big muscles. You have to use your small muscles. There is no other way you can sing and especially an akaram. So that's one thing that I ask my students to do.
I had a question for Vijayji. So, how can you help the student if I want to teach them the concept of Tishram when singing a Varnam? How can I help the student understand how it splits into 3s and 6s?
So before we get into the accompaniment, I said, first they will all learn about all the Tisrams, Kandams, Misrams, how it has been transitioned from Chatusram to Tisrams. So all the concept has all been taught.
Can you explain a very basic
Sure.
way so that the students
Sure.
and me I can hear it?
Sure. So for Chatusram it's a rhythmic cycle. It's a unique. It's global. Anybody say Chatusram means it's 4. Okay. So one beat takes 4 notes. That's Chatusram. Anything that goes in rhythmic, like pendulum clock, or anything like if you hear the indicator sound of your car, it's all in Chatusram. Okay. But how you emphasize the Tisram or a different nada into it is how you bring the notes into that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes like this. If you change to 3, it becomes Tisram. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this all been taught as a preliminary thing in the Taniya portion for any student to learn what is Chatusram, what is Tisram. So when it comes to the Varnam piece, how I say is if the singer switch from the Chatusram to Tisram, that kid may not understand how to play for the Varnam at that point. He only play for the Talam. So Vignesh Varya, I didn't say in Mridangam notes or anything because most of them won't understand. So I'm saying in numbers, okay? So now you sing one round of Chatusram and go to Tisram. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. He is pulled the speed from 4 to 3s. So if you still keep on 4, it's not going to sync. So it's going to be always a clash. The singer is going to stare at me and see what kind of an idiot he is doing right now. Okay? So I have to basically teach a student how that's been transitioned from Chatusram to Tisram. First, Chatusram transition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The same verse of the words is being like stretched when he sang from 4 to 3, which is Chatusram to Tisram. The talam is the same meter, the talam goes in the same speed, but the verse of the song is being stretched. That's what is happening. So once that automatically happens, I have to teach the student, so I'll make the singer to sing in the Tisram itself. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. This a student has to keep listening and listening and listening to get the talam. And then it has to be sung in the regular talam, not like this form of talam which is in this one. Because if you sing in Tisram, this becomes Tisra Nadai. But if you sing in the Chatusram, it becomes Tisra Gati, so that the Varnam is sang in Tisram and then it goes back to Chatusram. That's what is happening here.
Thank you. Just basic math, it's so fascinating that how beautiful it can be applied into an art form like this.
Right.
It's very, very fascinating for me.
See, the Varnam is almost important for at a concert level for any musician. So why they sing Varnam is a couple of reasons. Once the throat gets settled because of the lights, because of the sound, everything. The singer has to get settled with the Varnam because it has got multiple speeds. And for the accompaniment for violin or for mridangam artists, also make sure that we are also set to the adaptability for the singer, how he sings, what pattern he sings. So we also get warmed up. The sound, the mic also gets adjusted to us. There's no feedback, nothing. Everything is settled. The sound technician also knows what the level of the sound. So everything is there in the Varnam. So Varnam is very, very important for any kids to learn and keep practicing. That's the important for to know about the Varnam.
Sometimes the Varnam is actually called a sound check piece.
I have a difference of opinion in that. So for a concert, of course, we take it up as the first piece. Half the time it's like a mind testing piece. Unfortunately, it's like that because Varnams are quite nice and very hard to sing also as the first piece. To be frank, like Anna also said, I have heard a lot of people say it's like a warm-up piece, but according to me, the warm-up should happen before the concert. Like you should be in a green room, warm up your voice, and then the first piece needs to be perfect. Say you're singing for any dance program or something, you cannot say, okay, the first piece is a warm-up piece. The dancer is dancing on stage. Your voice needs to be warmed up. So even for a Carnatic music concert, the Varnam piece needs to be perfect. Your voice needs to be warmed up. Of course, it will take time to settle. That is different from warm-up. You need to warm up before and come. Why I'm mentioning this is, Varnams are like come in different levels. Like the Adathala Varnams are much more complex than singing a Ninukori. So when you sing Adathala Varnams, your Shruti and everything needs to be perfect to kind of do justice to that composition. For example, So this Varna needs a lot of voice control to present it properly. Even though it's a first piece, you kind of need to do justice to that. It has a lot of internal gamakams. It's not Kamala, not like that. Kamalakshi. So you need a lot of control to do that. So it's better to do the warm-up before the concert and then start with a very clean voice. I know it will take time to settle. My voice takes a while to settle. It takes like at least 20 minutes to settle. But the warm-up kind of helps when rendering these kind of pieces.
So I would say that all the tuning should be done before the concert starts. The fine-tuning should be done after the first piece. One thing. Second thing is, I would like to, because most of the people on stage, like all the accompaniments and the main artist, like I said, 95% of the Varnam is the same. There's not much Sangati differences. So people, it's a toy that is given a key and it just does its job, right? So what they do is, by inherently, like they've done it so many times without even thinking, they're just playing, but able to check the other aspects of the dynamics on stage, the monitors, so they are able to detach it from the singing aspect of it because they have done it so many times. It's just comes second nature to them, which lets them focus to check the monitor levels and things like that. That's my humble opinion.
All excellent points. We learned a lot. Before we move on to my next question, I want to just observe for the beginner Varnam students in here, one aspect of the rhythmic patterns. So we talked a lot about the Mohanam Varnam today, right? So most of you would have learned that. Take the second Chitta Iswaram. What is the second Chitta Iswaram in Mohanam? Ga, ga, re, sa, re, ga, ga. If you sing that Chitta Iswaram, what is the pattern that you can observe? There are patterns that you can easily identify and use them. Ta, ta, ding, ge, na, tum, ta. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the pattern for the second Chitta Iswaram. Keep that in mind, and when you learn Varnams, see if you can identify patterns, and that will really help you to grow. And later when you try Anodharma, Kalpana Swarams, those kind of patterns will come in handy and help with the creative process.
And to an extension to what she was saying, especially on the last swarams where there's like 2 or 3 avarthanams left, if you look at all the swarams that compose of that particular swaram, it looks like a mountain that it cannot be remembered fast. But if you look at the inherent patterns in that, it is easier to break it down and memorize. It helps in memorization also.
Exactly, that's a very good point.
And this is something I learned in the process of preparing for this panel, that the Charana Swarams are composed with a certain pattern to it. Every Varnam follows that. The first Charana Swaram is typically one Avartanam of the Thalam, and it has long notes, and that helps you with ga, ri, sa, ri, da, ri, da, sa, ri, ga, ri, sa, no. So there is a long carve between the notes. And the second one focuses on one note. Ga, ga, ri, ga, ri, sa, ri, ga, ga, da, da, sa. The third one is it's weave like a intricate pattern. So, for example, in Sahana, it's a weave of an intricate pattern. The last Charana Swaram is it's called Sambodhanam. It's a term which says you address somebody. Hey, Akansha, you're addressing somebody. So there's an address to it. Every Varnam follows a pattern, like a structure like that, and that was very, very fascinating for me to learn about.
And another thing, if everybody would have noticed, the third swaram usually have very little karvais in it. It's also a breathing exercise. Okay, so not a lot of people try to hold the breath the entire avartanam, but there is a chance for you to test your breathing abilities in that. That is one thing. It's the last one. After you are done with the third one, where it's like it has really pushed your limits as far as breathing. The fourth one gives you a little chance to take a breath. It gives you a little breather to there's a structure to that.
That's right. It's so fascinating. There are no written rules about any of this.
Observations.
But if you see from the first available Varnams to the latest ones, to Lalgudi sir or even Balamuni Krishna sir, any of them have this pattern. Like the first one will be like how Sharmaji mentioned, like with long carvais. Second one, a bit focus on like one swaram. Then third one without any carvais. It will go continuously, or it will have like a pattern. Ni pa ma ri ga ri sa ni pa ma pa ni sa ri ga ri sa ni sa ri. So it kind of stops on that nyasa swaram. Ni pa ma ri ga ri sa ni pa ma pa ni sa ri ga ri sa ni sa ri ma ri ga ri ni sa ri pa ma ri sa ri ma ba ni sa ri ma ni pa ba ri ma ba ni ka ma ko. So that pattern comes even in a lot of dance varnams, padavarnams, where you have the words. Even for those ones, it's the same. And like she mentioned, it's a very valid point. The last charanam, like she mentioned, is probably a sambodhanam. Even though a lot of Thana varnams don't have a swaram, if you look at the Natakurji varnams, sa ri ga ma ga sa ni da ni. So the words are Draupadi ki varuva savalo. will come and end in the lower octave. It will start up, it will go down. So I think it's very consistent. It's a kind of an unwritten rule for Varnams, I think. Everybody just sticks to that, right from Pada Varnams to Dana Varnams to any Varnam, oldest to the newest ones, they kind of follow. There are exceptions, of course, but they are very few actually.
And I request all students who don't pay attention to this to pay a little bit more attention as to how you split the words, okay? So a lot of people, ni, ki, la, nikila, loka, nayaka. Some people, ni, ki, la, loka, na. People, they sing like that. So what in the Varnam book, everybody, I don't know if you have noticed it or not, beyond all the details of where the Sahityam and Swaram is written, all the way at the top, it says what are the words in this. So if you take a look at that, so pay a little bit more attention to how you should and should not split the words, one. Second, and whether you are cultivating your breathing habits to take pauses where you should and where you note where you should not. Please pay attention to that. So, ni, ki, la. Persevere through that. Loka. Now, just because you took a breath just now, doesn't mean that you can't take another breath. Loka. Nayaka. Take a breath wherever you can. Okay, it's like a rest area on the highway. You don't know when you're going to find the next one. Get off when you can. Don't push your limits.
I've had students ask me, Meenanti, I have saliva in my mouth, where do I swallow? You got to figure that out yourself. I can only teach you music. No, it goes to saying the breathing techniques. It's very important. Half of what he's talking about is how to manage our breathing when we sing a Varnam. So we keep the words intact, so we don't lose the lyrical content. But when you start learning it, it is very hard to do that. So it's okay, when you're starting with it, it's okay to do it. But as you practice, it will be really good for you to pay attention to the lyrics and see if you can keep the words together and not break them improperly. So that's...
Yeah, I think it was a good point.
Very good point.
The words before the Varnam, right? After you learn the Varnam, but a quick glance at what the words actually are, because with a lot of carvais, it's very hard to figure out even what the words are. Usually the Varnam books have it on the top or you write it down separately. Very few words in the Varnam. If you count totally 8 or 10 words, total for the whole Tana Varnam is what you have. It's very easy to learn them, very easy to know what the words are and breathe accordingly. When you, I have some experience singing for dance. When you sing for dance, you start to appreciate how much the words are important even for a Varnam. Because they are dancing for the words, you cannot just sing whatever you want. So the application comes much later, but it's better to, even for Kirtanams, right? We always stress, okay, you have to know the words, you have to pronounce it well. You can start developing that right from the Geetams to the words.
The challenge as a teacher, from a teacher's standpoint, the challenge is, you're learning the first Varnam, and I'm coming to the line Nikila Loka. I can't teach ni ki la. Sir, can you break it down into smaller pieces? They will ask me because it is right. So ni, I break it. Then ki la, but that becomes the norm and practicing. They should not. That's the emphasis, because we are breaking it up into smaller chunks because you can chew them easier. But at some point in time, you have to go back and look at the top of the Varnam book, where for each Varnam it lists how to break the words. Please pay attention to them.
These are great tips to take as students who are learning Varnams. Hope you can incorporate all of this into your practice sessions at home. We are running behind schedule, so before we take a couple of questions from the audience, I do want to touch upon what he was talking about, about singing for dance Varnam. So you have Dana Varnams, you have Pada Varnams, you have Daru Varnams. Pada Varnams are the ones that usually dance teachers choreograph to. What makes Pada Varnams ideally suited for dance choreography?
Usually, at least for the Bharatanatyam versions, Padavarnams are usually much slower, rendered much slower. Tanavarnams, you can pick up the bass. It's much conducive for instruments. It's much conducive for vocal training, vocal practice, even presentation. Padavarnams, they are also sometimes called Chaukavarnams, which means they have to be sung slower for the dancer to like kind of express. For the dancer, it's the words are much lesser for a reason, because it's kind of their manodharmam point, right? They have they describe those lines and then they have the space to do their own manodharmam for those lines. So when you sing the varnams for dance, at least what I feel is you have to kind of understand the meaning of the varnam. Even if you don't know the line word by word meaning, you have to understand what is the bhava that dancer is portraying. For a song depicting love, you cannot be singing in a very angry tone or a really harsh tone. You have to go with the mood for that varnam. So usually the Shringara varnams are like that, like calling a sakhi, calling a lover, and how the heroine kind of feels during that varnam, right? So I think you have to kind of understand and go along with it. Better to know the meaning to some extent.
Yeah, I really appreciate that point that he brought out in the good question. So like Angayar Kanni Anandam is the word. Anandam Kundale Disayengu means
So Narayanji, are you saying if you sing this varnam in a concert, you have to produce the same emotion?
not concept for dances.
So for what do you do for concert?
So if you sing for dance, you kind of have a image. You can use that and sing.
Yeah,
for
you
concert.
have a meter based on how the dancer is
You
dancing.
don't have to do the same meter, the same speed, but you.
No, I'm not talking about the speed. I'm talking about the emotion. Like what you said, Anandam means don't keep your face so angry.
When you sing,
Don't be sad when you are saying your husband. That's one thing you can do. Don't make the audience cry for sadness.
No, but meaning will surely help.
Right.
Decide what pace or how to sing the varnam. What my golden rule is, when singing for dance, look at the dance, get inspiration. When singing in a concert, you do your background research or think about somebody dancing or have some mental image and use that.
Knowing the language really helps. So if it is
Absolutely.
in the language that we understand, we can sing much more soulfully, understanding the meaning of the ragam. But sometimes that's what happens. Tyagaraja compositions, I tend to enjoy the music more than I pay attention, and I'm trying to get better at it. And I keep telling my students to learn the meaning before singing too. But that also will help, right?
So a different point that I wanted to know. So I was talking to my teacher about this discussion, and she's an instrumental artist, and I was asking how do they play varnams differently for the swarams and the sahityams aspect of it. So she gave me some tips about which I wanted to share. So especially for a Veena, when you play the swarama sections, you would have to focus a little more on the beat to bring out the different swarams. And you also take more attention towards the tanam strings. And so I want to ask Samrit on this, how do you play differently for the swaram sections and the sahityam sections?
Very good question. So for the swaram section, again we do the emphasis on showing the note, like for Pancharatnam Kritis, same thing, right? If it comes to swaram, we need to embellish ourselves to make sure whatever you guys go high and low, we have to play the same way.
So let me just sing like a line of the Mohanavarnam, the swarams and the sahityam, and see. Can you just do the accompaniment for it? Okay. Ga ga re
Tam taki taka din din na. Tam taka din ta din din na. Ta din din na. Kada taka din din na ta. Okay.
Sahitya.
Hmm.
Ninnu
Ta din ta din din din. Ta din din ta din din din. Kada taka din din ta din 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 ta ta din din din. We just gel along with the Sahitya. For the Swaram we cannot do that. It will be sounding the same if I do the same thing between Swaram and Sahitya. So that's the difference that we play for accompanying for this type of Pancharatrams or Padavarnams.
As a listener, I think I have to pay more attention
Exactly.
to the
Right.
percussionist
Right.
as to what he's doing differently between the cellos and the
Right.
Sahitya.
Right.
It's very fascinating.
That's a very good point that you brought out. Instruments, veena or violin, how they differentiate, and on a mridanga or percussion instrument. Even for vocalist, off of your discussion, when you're presenting in a dance performance, the focus is on the dancer. So everything goes according to the dancer. But when you're in a vocal concert, the focus is on you. You can use all your voice techniques to meaning and all that is there. But you can also use your voice techniques to embellish the Varnam, show all your talent there. Like for example, Ninnu, or let me take another Varnam. Satrasi jamu kiro niku sariyo vare. So many carvais. How you sing the carvais? They கடிச்சு பாடுறது அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. Like bite and satrasi jamu kiro niku sariyo. It's a technique.
You are emphasizing all the notes.
All the notes, and for the percussion also,
So, like what I said, if you sing like that, we play emphasizing more on the notes as well for all the gamakams. If we sing like the first way, then we will also like gently play for what we can do, because we don't want to overkill the song.
All excellent points. I hope you have learned a lot today. I don't know about you, I learned many things. I hope this discussion can go on for another hour, but we are already behind schedule. So before we wrap up the panel, I would like to take a couple of questions from the audience. If you have any questions for this brilliant panel, go ahead and ask them.
Relating to the Varnams.
Any questions?
I do have a question. I just want to bring in another side. We've talked a lot about the musical application and the dance application. Briefly, could you talk about at least as a dancer, what I've seen with Varnam is oftentimes it's written with someone in mind, whether it's a particular deity in a particular temple or what have you. I know that comes in it's very important for us to know that context as dancers. How does that come in? Like who the composer is or who it was composed about or in what situation? How does that come in when you're coming at it from a musical perspective?
One opinion that I have is not everything needs to be spoon-fed to people. So if people are coming to that and if some song or whatever captures their attention, they should do a little bit. With Google now, all they need to do is just open up the phone and just do a little bit of background checking themselves just to enrich themselves. That is one opinion that I have.
Or you just use your imagination and see how the mood of the ragam feels in your mind, and you just form your own visual. It does not have to be about a person or a deity. It can be about the beautiful puppy you just saw when you came into the concert, or that flower that bloomed in your garden. Sahana can also mean a lovely flower. So it can be contemporary. Music is not about a person.
So unlike dance, Varnam is like an introductory piece. I mean, of course, there are like complicated parts to it and performative aspects to it, but we learn it as a introductory piece, we start off with that. So the focus is on the vocal techniques rather than on the lyric itself. Of course, there are like mention of temples or something like that. For example, the Shri Raga Varnam, Bhumi Velayu Shri Garbhapuri Vasa Pashupatisha. Garbhapuri Vasa Pashupatisha, it's on Shiva. I think composer is Karur Devuda here. They have compositions also. Garbhapuri Vasa, they have compositions. So, Patnam Subramanier, most of the composers who have composed Varnam have kritis as well. The focus for Varnams usually from a music aspect is on the singing techniques, on the swarams, how we attain all that. It's much later, like they mentioned, you kind of go back and research. At least when you teach, I don't think there is any emphasis on, okay, this is this person or this temple or any of that sort. I think that is more focused in dance because you have to kind of represent that.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to ask the panel to give one tip each to the students and the parents, which will help them stay motivated to practice Varnams. Because the kids these days are doing so many things. I have children coming into class wearing swimsuit underneath their dress because right after the music class they have to go to swimming class. Kids are really, really busy. So we get that. So it's but
Probably swim in your music first and then do this.
I like that story. Let's stick with that. How do the kids stay motivated to practice Varnams? They are hard pieces, and programs like these where they have a chance to come out and perform are very rare. We don't have a lot of. This is the first of its kind. Yeah, unless the students are prepping for a concert, they don't have a platform to showcase their Varnams, right? So the motivation to practice it like how they are supposed to practice, it's not there. What can you tell them to stay motivated?
The way I do it is, I have a threshold of 5 Varnams. Once you learn the 5 Varnams, then every class after that, I'm going to begin with the Varnam, random Varnam. I won't tell you which one I'm going to test you on. Okay? Every class, the first 5 minutes of the class is the Varnam. So that means they have to prepare all the 5 Varnams at least one day a week or once in 2 weeks. So you maintain your schedule. But you know that when you come into the class, the first thing I'm going to do is some random Varnam. I'm going to just... So you can imagine once it goes to 10 Varnams, you can imagine yours. So I'm going to throw you any of those 10 Varnams at you first. And then first is 5 to 6 minutes of the class. That I use that as a warm-up also, as well as keep you on, agile on your foot. Try and make sure that you are...
Kids, it's just not just me, as you can see.
Okay, one question later. Everybody, the question is for everybody.
Ask your question.
Why it is named Varnam?
I had a Varnam means color. Okay, or to say enrich your learning. So it brings color. You will just start with basic Geetams and Swarajatis, but then Varnam opens out a new facet of our learning. It brings color into our learning, and it really enriches our learning. So, which is why Varnam come Varnam Tamil.
No. I have a comical twist to that, which in Tamil Varnam means it has to come. So that means Varnam has to come to become a musician, complete musician.
Yeah.
So Varnam is that important.
Yeah, no, so my approach would be like once that they learn a Varnam, I would give them the opportunity to learn a Kriti in the same Ragam, and that motivates them. And I always tell my students, don't practice for the class, practice for the joy of it. So as you do it more and more, it becomes more and more beautiful in your mind, and Varnams definitely will step up your learning.
And another thing there is when she said Varnam means color. color can be interpreted as what are the different facets or colors used to paint this Varnam. You can think of it that way. And that can serve as an encyclopedia for you. For example, a Sahana Varnam. Okay, what are the allowable phrases and disallowed phrases? So you always go back to the Varnam and say, okay, especially when you are prepping yourself for small raga sketches and raga, raga alapanai singing. So you go back to the Varnam and say, okay, let's see what are the patterns I can recognize in this. You can bravely use those phrases in your raga alapanai without any doubt, because that is an encyclopedia for that particular raga. And every Varnam is the same for each of its raga.
Yeah, it is Varnam is a blueprint basically. So you want to learn about the ragam in depth, learn the Varnam in the ragam. The more you practice, the more you will understand the ragam better. Then learn lots of kritis in that ragam and use it as a learning tool together to improve your understanding of the ragam.
And one Varnam cannot encompass all the possible phrases of a particular ragam. So maybe multiple Varnams may exist in that ragam. If so, explore that, learn it, or back it up with the Kirtanam, which also adds dimensions to the Varnam.
And the Varnam that you learn today, your understanding of it when you sing it 3 years from now, the same Varnam will be different. You will see shades of it that you did not notice before. A good analogy for a Varnam is it's like a pickle. The more it soaks, the better it gets. The better your understanding of that gets. So, any other tips?
I think Varnams are the start of your exciting music journey. It's of course hard, it's a next step, but it's opening up a lot of avenues for you. It's a tool, it's very versatile. You can do a lot of Manodharmam training, right from raga phrases, swaram practice, thanam, everything can be rhythmic exercises, tishram, everything can be practiced with the Varnam. So it's a start of a self-exploratory journey, a very exciting journey. Learn it very happily, and it will, till the end, it will be very helpful.
One thing that I often notice is like parents and sometimes even students, they ask me, when are we going to go to the Varnams? When are we going to go to the Varnams? Because every class before that, a Geetam or whatever, small, the short songs, it takes maybe a class, maybe 2-3 classes at the most, and then we are done with that song. So people are eager to go on to the Varnams, but when Varnams take about 6 or 7 classes, they're saying, why is it taking so long? Why are you sitting on same Varnam for the last 7 or 8 classes? Can we move on? But that is when they realize the amount of nuances and the difficulty of learning Varnams. At the same time, how much you have to put in homework to shorten the 10 classes to maybe 5 classes. That's on you. So
it is directly proportionate to the time and effort you are willing to put into it. Yes, I've had students and parents say, is it really important? This book is really big and it's taking a long time. Can we skip it? Well, yes, you can skip it. I cannot force you to learn Varnams. But you are standing in your own way of getting better at music, learning more. So Varnams are an essential part of a student's journey, and there is a lot that we can learn, and you have to keep on learning. Listen to concerts, go to concerts, and listen to the artists present the Varnams that you have learned in classroom. It's a lot different from how we do it in class. How they present it in a concert is entirely different, and you will learn a lot by attending concerts. With that, I would like to thank the panel members, the teachers on the stage with me. Please give them a big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, Mali. Thank you, Amla. Thank you, Vijay and Vignesh. We will wrap it up here, and we will continue with the next hour of performances. Thank you. coming up next Sunday. ICAPS is hosting Carnatic vocal concert of Kota Sisters. They are on tour in the United States and they are coming to Richmond to perform a concert right here on the stage. The concert is completely free. You should all plan to come and enjoy this free concert. I strongly encourage all the music students to come and attend the concert. Thank you. Shrikar and Visesh, they are the local talent and they will be accompanying Kota Sisters. So don't miss this chance to enjoy 2 hours of wonderful music and bring your children with you and enjoy the concert. Thank you all.
Very nice. Interesting.